Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this Daily Hindu Analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening the MCQ videos they come. Follow both these lessons religiously, and these are totally dedicated for the UPSC preparation. For the main stage, the morning newspaper analysis is extremely important, and the facts are also hidden in these articles, so we cannot miss anything here. So 11th of July it is, and let's start the lesson. Pocket News app is trending on number 1 on Google Play, and download that and stay updated with all the current affairs. These are important affordable courses by StudyIQ. The description is given below the video, and you can call on these numbers, and this is the website address of StudyIQ, and PDF you will get here. Send me a request, I would approve on this Facebook page, and you will find the Telegram link also there, and you can follow me on Instagram too. These are some words that I found today, and now about the articles. This article important for GS paper 1 and 2 and 3 also. You see, it is about the approaches and newer ways, education and issues of the demographic study also. It says about the Integrated Child Development Scheme, ICDS scheme, launched in 1975. Then it got discontinued in 1978. Then again with the 10th 5-year plan it was resumed. So nutrition and health counseling, the important factor under it. You see, it does not provide any public distribution there regarding food or something like that, but an important component is of the counseling. And now an important report by India Consensus. What is this India Consensus? It's a partnership between Tata Trust and Copenhagen Consensus. So they are doing this research for a long period of time now, and analysis of 100 government programs identified by Niti Aayog. They did this analysis, and they found that the behavioral approach aspect and the counseling aspect, that creates a lot of impact. As for this ICDS scheme, as I told you, it does not provide much help there in the form of a distribution, but the counseling is the major impact giver here. You see, we all are following the Sustainable Development Goals. 169 targets are there, but the writer says it correctly that no country in this world is as perfect that they can follow all these targets and they can all fulfill all these targets, but the aim is to get the maximum there, so that the accountability can be decided that how much is left after 2030. So that's the case. But researchers have identified 12 programs that have phenomenal benefit for every rupee spent. What it says that whatever counseling, whatever knowledge, whatever guidance which was given to these mothers, that created impact. And we all know that a aware person, independent person, aware person always makes progress in his or her life. That is a truth for this world. So the same applied for the scheme also. Here, a independent, aware and acknowledged mother, she makes all the efforts to make the things possible for her kid, like the malnutrition should not be there, proper education should be there, and proper childhood management should be there, and these counselings, they create a lot of impact. And in the monetary terms and in some terms of impact of these things, this particular counseling, the writer is giving us some numbers. 2 examples, Andhra Pradesh and Rajasthan, 2 states. In one state, 1177 rupees were spent on a single mother for this counseling, and in Rajasthan, 1250 rupees were spent. 12% reduction they saw in the stunting issue, means 12% reduction was there, and they compared with many of the samples, and this data is not unrealistic. This is a realistic data based on the sample size and the situation of the kids, how they are performing, what are their motor skills, what are their cognitive skills. So all these things were taken care here, and this counseling led to this 12% reduction. So it's a major achievement if that thing is done with this minimum amount, and if this much positive impact is there, then nothing can be better than that. A different sample shows a phenomenal progress there in terms of increase in earnings. Kids were given, these mothers were given this counseling, they managed the kids, and after some years, and when this sample observed these things, that increase in earnings for per unit the benefit was multifolds. Means if we take 1 rupee that we spent on this counseling, 1 rupee brought the advantage of 61 rupees in the case of Andhra Pradesh, 43 rupees advantage in the case of Rajasthan, and the increase in their incomes 71,500 rupees and 54,000 rupees per unit. So it's a phenomenal thing. Takeaway point is that among all the ways that Indian government is spending money to achieve global goals target, adding additional resources to nutrition counseling would be a phenomenal investment. That's the clear case. These are the evidences, and ICDS has made this thing possible. So we can see that clearly. The impact of counseling is too much. You see, in the draft national education policy also, they are discussing about the pre-education aspect, like 3 to 6 years of age of kids. From 6 years, right to education starts. Now they say that we should cover from 3 to 18 years of age, because from 3 to 6 it would be the preschool education, and that creates a lot of impact, because of the kind of situation we see in crashes and these play schools and all. A huge impact, psychological impact is there in these kids, and in their later schooling life they are extremely interested in studies and schoolings, and they become all positive about the educational phase of their life. Otherwise it's a very hectic thing for these kids to get adjusted into proper schooling system with one shot. And you see, if you directly sending them at the age of 5 or 6 into these schools, then most of them, they will not be interested that much, because they cannot adjust into that stressful environment away from their home. So that's the case. This preschool education is a very important component, and it creates a psychological impact. So it's again a thing that is a new concept, like counseling, where the behavioral approach is targeted, and that is giving us a proper outcome there, and that is for sure. So here, if we spend 20 lakh rupees, 20 lakh crore rupees, I'm sorry, on these goals and all these welfare schemes and all, if we spend additional 50,000 crore rupees, then if this 50,000 crore rupees is invested into this counseling, then all these 20 lakh crore rupees, they can give you multifold increase in the outcomes and the achievements there. And we may be that the typical problem in this country, that things are not effective, schemes are not effective, they are not changing the ground situation. So that thing may be possible with the counseling factor. So that is the case. I'm not saying that ICDS is a perfect scheme, and nor the writer is saying that these are the perfect issues, but the issue that he analyzed here, that was the case of counseling, and that is giving us compelling reasons that we look into this matter and we apply this issue and this additional cost that would incur there, and that will give us brilliant results there. That's the case. So important for GS paper 1, as I told you, it's an important thing. And regarding the additional data, Copenhagen consensus, that was there in the article, regarding that detail is there. John Lomborg is the important analyst here, is an environmentalist and researcher on the policy issues. So that's the case. Next, ICDS, the details are given here. These are the objectives, and the Anganwadi concept, that was a component of ICDS only, which is a very famous one. Next, a demographic window of opportunity. So now Desai talks about a very crucial issue, and the issue is that the report came by United Nations. Every 2 years this report is out, and they have done some revision in our demographic prospects here. Earlier they said that by 2022 we will cross China here, but now report says that by 2027 we will be surpassing China in the terms of this population growth. So that can be a slight relief there, and we are struggling with most of the problems, and these problems are related with the demographic situation. It's a mismanaged country, imbalanced growth is there, and cities are choked, and all the population is moving towards cities day by day for more and more opportunities. All the opportunities are too many, but the issues of their settlement, their sanitation, basic services, pollution, and specifically the air pollution, cars and traffic systems, noise pollution, and the whatever issues that these Swachh Bharat schemes and all these are targeting, all are the problems related with the overpopulated state of the cities, and villages and small towns, they are most of the times remaining empty there because no opportunity there, and education is not giving much jobs. So that's the case that they all are flocking towards cities. So it's all the issue of overpopulation. If we do this comparison with China, then the situation is like that China is huge in geographical terms, but we are not that much huge. We are huge but not that much, and that's why the density is too much here, and that density creates a lot of problem there. Environment is hampered here, and developmental economics is also very much disturbed in a sense, because schemes we always see, and every day there are different announcements, but things do not work in 100% way. So they do not prove to be perfect in a sense. Why? Because so many struggles, the capacity issues, infrastructure issues, and governments cannot afford giving this much employment to all of them, and how do they settle all of them, and it's a mismanaged and imbalanced growth prospect for this country, and demography is the core of it. So that's the case. So the way media covered this information, she is raising questions about that. They say that they are not clear that they should propose it as a good news or a bad news. In a way, it's a good news, but also a thing to be concerned about, because we have to accept this destiny, that it is our destiny. And if we compare the situation with China today, we are not as ruthless as China is. China imposed this one child policy in 1979. In the same way, we cannot impose it. There are different issues, cultural issues and emotional issues of the families, conservative families, and not much development we have done in most part of the country, especially in the poor situation of the villages area. A grain crisis is there, so a lot of insecurities are there, and because of that reason, population control is not a perfect phenomena in this country. All the demographic tools are used, like this sterilization initiatives that came, and appreciation for following these particular family planning issues, and some disadvantages. If you do not follow that, promotions are not given in the government services, you cannot run for the Sarpanch election there. But people think in a different way. More the people are insecure, more they are going towards maintaining a big family there. They will give birth to more and more sons, because in this conservative country, and where most part of the country is a poor country, villages the people are living in, so they think that maybe my son or me would not go for the Sarpanch post. But in the old age, a lot of insecurities are there, health issues are there, so maybe my older son would leave me and he would settle down in some city. At that time, at least one or two son or daughter should stay with me at that time, because that's a demanding phase of the life. So that's why many people, they do not think about the family planning. Already they have made compromises with the poverty situation, and they would go for a bigger family. So that is also a reason, and these are things apart. But you see, if we compare the China situation, total fertility rate is a phenomena where 15 to 49 years of age is observed for a female, that how many children she gives birth to. So if she gives birth to normally 2 or 3 kids, then if it is 2, then the TFR would be 2. If it is 3, then TFR would be 3. If it is 4, 5, then it's a huge problem. The TFR is rising here. But today, if we impose that ruthless policy of one child policy of China, then still we will surpass China here, because our population, the female population, which is at the peak of this reproductive age, and especially 15 to 39 years of age, okay, if they are bound to give birth to only one child, then also we will surpass China here, because China's those kind of females are 235 million in number and India's 253 in number. That means it's 18 million more in number. So 18 million more kids there would be. So that is the reason that we will surely surpass China here, and there is no safe way from here. So we have to accept this destiny, and throughout this 21st century we will be at the top. According to 1971 population numbers, we have adjusted our Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha seats and all, and we are not changing them till 2026, because till 2026 and 7 we will be peaking in this population numbers, and then we may have a decline. Although faster decline is observed these years, and that's why UN has to go with the revised numbers. First they said that we will overtake China in 2022, and now they're saying that it would be the 2027 year. And even for 2050 numbers also, they have made a revision here. Like first they said that 1705 million would be the number of people living in India, and now they say that 1639 million people only would be living in India in 2050. So it is a good news by all counts, because whatever number of population we have, that is huge and unmanageable today. So what do? This is a 20 to 30 years of a window where we can get the maximum advantage of a demographic dividend issue. But how? We have to invest a huge percentage of the GDP in health and education. And what are our percentages in health? 1 to 1.5% only we are investing here, and we have to go beyond 5%. For sure we need to go beyond 5%. Then only the malnutrition issue, the primary healthcare issue, the non-communicable disease challenges, the HIV, TB challenges, they can be countered. Otherwise you cannot tackle this population, and it would be a Bimaru population in this country in the next 25 years. So as I discussed, that we need to make some changes, and the family planning issue should be very much important in this country. As I told you, as a democratic nation, we have tried all these things. We cannot be ruthless like China here, and other factors are also there, like the Sarpanch example, as I told you. This is given here. And the fertility issue, if we compare the situation of the poorest women and the rich women, then drastic differences are there in the total fertility rate. For the poorest one it is 3.2, for the rich class it is just 1.5. Means 2.1 is the replacement rate, and for the rich class it is below that, and for the poor class it is 3.2. So we need to make some balance here, and we have to keep it around 1.5. So some substantial control must be there. And as I told you, there are very less regions in this country that people would stop giving birth to kids. Why? Because as I told you, maximum number of populations, they have compromised with the poverty situation, and they think that whether there are 2 kids or 3 kids, it would not make much difference, and maybe these 3 people will earn more in the future. We will put some pressure here, so they will earn more in the future, and it would be a happy family. But it is going to be a very problematic situation, and some groups like the groups which are having less percentage of education numbers and less awareness is there, social situation is not good. So in those categories like the SC/ST population, as not STs, just SCs and Muslim population, so they give birth to more kids in number. So that can be a problematic situation for a whole country in the future. So that's why we need to bring those stoppages, and the expenses on the education and the future prospects. These are the major regions where people stop, and they think that it is going to be very, very expensive. We cannot afford that. That is the case. That is the major stoppage for maximum number of people in this country, and that is the reason that they stop. Maybe in the wish of getting a son, they will give birth to 5 girls, because the wish of son is not fulfilled. So they will keep giving birth 4, 5, 6 girls. Then they will stop. They will say that we are not sure it would be a son again or a girl again. But it is getting more and more expensive. How we are going to raise these girls? So then they will stop. So those are different and bizarre regions in this country. And for the urban population, different kind of insecurities are there in just opposite condition. They do not want to give birth to many kids. They hardly are raising a single kid. Why? First thing, very expensive. Second thing, in the starting years, how they are going to raise the kid. That is the biggest scare there, because both are working most of the times, and how they are going to raise the kid, it's a huge responsibility. So they want to remain free, and this phenomenon is happening like the Western countries, where people did not get married much in last 20 to 30 years, and they did not want to get stuck into this child rearing phenomena. So that is the case. So we have to ensure more good jobs to people, so that people can be secure about their futures, and that is the biggest factor where they will think about the family planning, because in the insecure phase they will not go for the proper planning there. That is the case. They will make compromises there. That's the case. So more secured the condition, more planned the country would be, more manageable the demography would be. So that's the case. And one more issue of allocation to the states. Finance Commission makes these allocations, but you see, 15th Finance Commission is thinking about making these allocations with the population numbers. As we all know that northern states, they are very weak in this family planning issue. So more population is there with UP, Bihar, MP, these kind of states. So more problems, more backwardness is there, and more number of poor people is there. But in the southern states, they have maintained this thing very efficiently. So they must be given this advantage there. But it is going to be for the poorer states more by the Finance Commission. So it's a vociferous protest from the southern states, and they say that we maintained our condition, we got our kids education there, and we were much more planned than these ignorant states. So we should be given this advantage, and it's a genuine thing. But you see, allocations are a different phenomena, and many factors are there, and it is all the matter of need. It is unfortunate, but it is the matter of need. So that's why they have to make adjustments there. And as I told you, it is just the 20 to 30 years window where there is a great advantage, that these youth who are mainly in age group of 15 to 35, they do not have burden of taking care of their old parents, because they are not that much old today. Maximum number of these adult people, and they are not so small, and they can work and they can earn. So it's a great advantage for our economy, and a great window for these youth also, that they have much more to gain, and they have very less responsibilities. So that's the case. But in what conditions we will reap these benefits? This is the case of demographic dividend, and without proper investment in the education and the health sector, we can never achieve this kind of benefit. So that's why we need to focus on this demographic dividend issue. This should be the core issue in all the family planning and the policy making. Sorry, not family planning, in the policy making issue. And we have to take care about this issue. More investment is there in the proper education, less investments we would have to do on the skilling the people, and automatically these people will be able to get the jobs. But it should not be a rat race in this country. It should not be a condition that whatever education people are getting there, students are getting there, then there is a rat race for becoming a doctor, or there is a rat race for becoming an engineer, and all other areas are not getting any importance. It should not be like that. Otherwise, it is all a wastage. We have seen the result of that, the condition of engineers in this country. What has happened to this thing? So it's a disaster, and it's a disaster for the youth. So that's why we need to plan in all the areas, whether we talk about the competitive examinations, whether we talk about the job areas, and for sure they need to take care about the job situation here. Otherwise, more and more poverty would be there, more and more negativity would be there, and more vicious cycle would be there. So they will not be able to get out of that, and getting out of that vicious cycle of poverty and under development, it is very difficult, and far more difficult for the poor people, if we compare the situation with the middle class or the rich class. So that's why next 20 years are going to be very crucial, and the states which are having this window, we need to emphasize more on them, and we have to reap these benefits. Otherwise, this country has a very dark future. This demographic dividend will turn into demographic drag. So we cannot let that happen. That's the case. Okay, so this is all in this article, important for GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4 and essay. All important topics are applicable here. Next article is regarding the environmental situation and the situation of forestry. Sujata Bravan says that we had submitted our INDCs in COP 21. Most highlighted issue of that time, and it is going on. Sustainable development talks are going on. These goals are going to end in 2030, and we have submitted a lot of things here. We have made our goals that in the renewable energy sector, we have made our goals 40% of our energy needs would be coming from the non-fossil fuel sources, unconventional sources, and we have made targets for mitigation into carbon emission also, and through the way of carbon sequestration. And the biggest way for carbon sequestration is planting more and more trees and developing the forest areas. That is the need, and this is the best way. According to the report by Forest Survey of India, it says that we have to go for dense forestation, and afforestry is the only way there, because it creates a huge impact, 42 times more impact than the other issues like the green corridors, agroforestry, railways, canals, and all their sidings. We plant these trees, so maximum impact would come from the afforestation issue. And on the wastelands, in the open lands and in the open forest, we have to develop these dense forests. 2-3 days back we discussed about the Miyawaki issue, and that's the Japanese method of planting trees and developing forest in 1/10 time. So within 20 to 30 years, you can grow a dense forest there, and you can turn your backyards into mini forest areas. So these kind of ways we need today, because what they do carbon sequestration, means they fix the additional carbon in the atmosphere. Because in the photosynthesis process, what they do, they will take carbon dioxide and they will release O2. So it's a double advantage here. And the carbon dioxide, additional carbon dioxide, which is warming the environment, that is getting fixed in the form of glucose there, or the food of the plants. So that's a very effective issue, and he's explaining this thing with the numbers and percentages, and it says that 50, 60, 70% of the impaired forests could be restored, and that is going to create a huge impact there. And locking up the carbon from the atmosphere in the trees, ground vegetation and soil is one of the safest ways in which to remove the carbon. And here we would not need very expensive technologies, and for that developing nations are crying for, and we would not need that, and that is the most effective way. And these carbon credit issues and mitigation issues, everywhere, this is the most effective and safest way available. So that's the case. So it's a point centered on afforestation and agroforestry. Agroforestry is also a very effective way, where agriculture is also maintained, and we are growing trees in between there. So that's the case. So natural ways, you see, they take time. As I told you, 200 to 300 years a forest takes to develop, to turn into a dense forest, if the disturbance is not there. But with these some unique and innovative methods like Miyawaki method, we can plant these forests very soon. So that is the way, and this green cover must be there, although it is rising, but the pace is very slow, and mainly the numbers are for open forest and the scattered forest. So we need to turn them into dense forest areas. So that's the important thing, and involving the local people, local communities is the most crucial aspect of that. And that's why more and more forest dwellers we would need here, because they know the nature and they know the best and sustainable ways there. And protecting and nurturing public lands while preventing their private enclosure is therefore paramount. And we have to think about our priorities, that we need more economic development, we need more GDP numbers, or we need a healthy future tomorrow. Otherwise it is a matter of 10 to 15 years, and this earth, or especially this country, would not be able to support our existence. That's for sure. So this was very important for GS paper 2 and 3. Okay, so that's the case. Next, worker safety code bill. As I told you, 44 labor laws are getting converted into 4 proposed codes. So first code was launched. Second code is here for occupational safety, health and working. conditions. So these things are mentioned in our DPSPs also. So on the principles of those, some laws are there, and they are getting codified into Code on Occupational Safety. So it is the second code, and mixed opinions are there regarding these things, because they say that we established 44 labor laws for the specific focus. Now you are clubbing them into just four codes, and it may be a huge problem in the future, because labor reform is something that we need, but some say that it is not the best way. So that is the case, and it will be applicable to all the industries, including the IT industry and mining also. In mining areas, even a single employee is working, then these codes would be applicable there. So it is not like that these are some negative developments. These are good developments, positive developments, but better ways can be found there. And the involvement of the civil society would be very crucial here. Next, single tribunal to hear water disputes. It says that for water disputes, interstate river disputes, tribunals are created. Tribunals are specific type of courts, as Supreme Court cannot take up these cases. This is clear, and the Supreme Court does not have any kind of jurisprudence on these water dispute issues. So 1956 Act, Interstate River Water Dispute Act was there, and according to that, river tribunals were established. So in the same way, we have river tribunals for some important rivers like Kaveri. We have that, and Karnataka and Tamil Nadu always at loggerheads, and they lock their horns on this water release issue. So it's a ever going battle, and only the river tribunals can award these sentences, and they have to follow those decisions, although it's a political issue always. But river tribunals, it is gonna be institutionalized now. There is a bill, Interstate River Water Disputes Amendment Bill 2019. It is cleared by the cabinet, and now it is going to be proposed in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and we need to see what happens in the future. Next, Indian Air Force to adopt ASRAM missiles, air-to-air missiles, and these are European missiles. Okay, and we are going to apply them into Sukhoi 30 MKI and Jaguar aircrafts, and it would be the first over-the-wing launched missiles in IF inventory. MBDA is the partner, European partner, and it is going to work with HAL. HAL has developed these 145 Jaguar planes, and out of 145, 120 are in service. So it's a major achievement, and it is going on for decades now. And this missile development would be an important one. It is going to be within visual range WVR, because just 25 kilometers is the range. So it's a visual range, and these things are important for prelims examination and for the mains also. So thanks a lot. Keep watching, and it was Amit Sani. Give me your feedback also.